You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on AETi Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. This edition of Coffee with Graeme is presented by our lovely sponsors in Evolve Green, TOVI Hockey, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, Caisse Financial Group, and AETi. We got a good lineup of guests for you guys today. We only got 2 people joining the show, but they're phenomenal. And the first guest, well, he is phenomenal. Mr. Cody Wall joining this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody here on Coffee with Graeme to talk about the 2 games that we broadcasted on the network on Friday against the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U15 Male Prep Buffaloes as they took on the OHA, which stands for Okanagan Hockey Academy Edmonton U15 Prep Team at Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot-Mound, Manitoba, and in Morden, Manitoba. Ways away from Pilot-Mound, not too far from Pilot-Mound, but far enough. We saw the Pembina Valley Hawks host the Winnipeg Avros in an MFHL regular season matchup. Cody comes on the show today to break down and talk about those 2 games we saw on the network this past Friday. So without further ado, let's roll the intro of Coffee with Graeme and bring on Cody Wall on this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody here on Coffee with Graeme on AETi Productions. Joining me for yet another edition of Off the Wall with Cody is Cody Wall here on Coffee with Graeme. Cody, 2 games only on the weekend, this past weekend here on the network, both being played on Friday. The Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U15 Male Prep Buffaloes taking on the Okanagan Hockey Academy Edmonton U15 Prep Team in the CSSHL game that we saw on Friday night, and then in Morden, we saw the Pembina Valley Hawks play the Winnipeg Avros. But how you doing on this Tuesday morning, man? Happy to have you on the show once again.
Good. It's good to see you there, Graeme. Yeah, we managed to miss each other on Friday with, me calling the game in Pilot-Mound and you and Seth calling the game in Morden there. But both some interesting games to talk about here, and looking forward to breaking down this last weekend.
Let's start off with the game that you covered in Pilot-Mound, Cody. The U15 Male Prep Buffaloes falling big time 7-1 to the Okanagan Hockey Academy Edmonton U15 Prep Team. OHA Edmonton out shooting the Buffaloes 40-12 in that game. Pilot-Mound getting outshot heavily in that game on Friday. Talk about how OHA was able to come out and dominate as they did on Friday night against the Buffaloes at Blackjack Stewart Arena.
Yeah, they really came out firing on all cylinders. They really hit their stride in that second period, but really you could feel them starting to gain a lot of momentum, even in that first period where they were able to get their first goal of the game and really didn't let up. If you look at watching the game and checking the stat sheet there, you see that OHA really didn't let up throughout the game, just consistently applying pressure and, able to capitalize once on the two power plays that they were given. And, that always helps as well when you're able to get the special teams involved.
Yeah, for sure. Getting special teams involved and being able to capitalize like OHA Edmonton did, like you said, a huge part of, their success at points in that game. Talking about what Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U15 fell short on in that game, why they were able to get dominated like they did in the offensive zone, and also not putting up as many shots as they would have liked, only putting up 12 compared to the 40 that OHA Edmonton put up.
For sure. And I don't want to be too critical of the Pilot-Mound team, but really it looked like at times the effort level, sorry, I don't want to say the effort level wasn't there, but there was a lot of miscommunication amongst the Buffalo. Often you'd find a loose puck. You'd have two Buffalo defenders within stick length or two of the puck, and OHA would still win the puck battle even though they had to come from a further way to pick up that puck. Just looked like there was a lot of miscommunication between the Buffalo, and just I think that was really their downfall in that game, was just lack of communication out there, and really, just a lot of miscommunication between the team.
Yeah, and when there is miscommunication, that can lead to a lot of issues out there, and we saw just that this past Friday night in Pilot-Mound, Manitoba at Blackjack Stewart Arena. But this was the Buffalo's first game back in 2022. It was OHA Edmonton's as well. You don't want to put it up as an excuse, but would you say that I guess we'll go there with this excuse, maybe that the Buffaloes maybe came out rusty in this Friday night game this past Friday against OHA, and that could have led to some of the miscommunication?
Yeah, definitely. And that's something I had mentioned throughout the broadcast to try and remind everybody at home that it was their first game back after an extended Christmas break. And, could be just a little bit of rust and needing to get back those game legs back under them to get that full effort level going once they get back into this after Christmas stride.
Talk about the Buffaloes, what they were doing well when they were able to generate their chances, even though there was so few of them compared to OHA only having 12 shots on net for the Buffaloes. Talk about how they were able to generate their offense, getting shots on net when they were able to, as well as what led to the goal that the Buffaloes scored.
Yeah, when they were able to get out of their own zone, it was from some good smooth breakouts coming from two defensemen, more specifically Gage Sutherland and Carson Carrolls. Those two guys seemed to, when they were able to generate some momentum getting out of their own end, those two guys were really quarterbacking and then able to lead the team into the offensive zone. And then once they got there, number 9 of Liam Chartrand, I want to make sure I didn't say his brother Riel, but Liam Chartrand really, he was moving his feet out there at times and was generating some offensive opportunities with throwing the body every once in a while. I know there was a couple times him and Hunter Yee from the OHA Edmonton had kind of got together. They had looked like they were starting a bit of a rivalry throughout that game, really coming with Hunter Yee lighting Chartrand up early, and then Chartrand kind of returning the favor a little bit later on in the game. But the Buffalo, when they were able to generate momentum, it was kind of from that cycling and trying to get shots from the point and from the outside, because really OHA was doing a great job of shutting down that slot area.
Yeah, and I found out that Liam is in fact not related to Riel on Thursday night's edition of Coffee with Graeme last week, and I was like, well, we've been saying Riel and Liam are related all along, and then you find out they're not, and then you go, man, I feel like an idiot. But great to know that there was a little rivalry going on between him and Yi from the OHA Edmonton team. But a lot of goals from OHA Edmonton in that game, Cody, this past Friday. Talk about how they were able to move this puck around, dive more into depth, and to how they were able to generate their chances offensively and break down this Buffaloes team defensively.
Yeah, they really used their speed, especially a guy like number 21, Landon McFadden. Often you saw him breaking out of their zone with the puck and really just was able to generate a lot of speed with his feet and, loop around the net and kind of draw some of the Pilot-Mound defenders out of position to try and create some room for some of his teammates. Another player who really was generating a lot was their captain, number 4, Matt Parnich. He really was able to generate a lot of offense, was able to get a goal and register 2 assists, keeping his point streak going throughout the regular season. And the OHA really used the cycle game a lot, trying to find and pull players out of position, and really did a good job of that throughout the game.
We'll talk about one more thing in this game, and then we'll move on to the next game that was covered on Friday night, this past Friday on ASTV. But the play of Keane Reed in net for this Buffaloes team, facing 40 shots against, of course, letting 7 in, obviously letting as many goals in as he did. You never want that to happen if you're a goaltender. But talk about, how he truly looked in that game this past Friday night, in your opinion.
Yeah, I felt like a couple of those goals were really fluky, especially that one that kind of had bounced off of, I can't remember if it was Gage Sutherland's skate in the front of the net and had gotten past Keane Reed. I believe there was another goal that kind of was a little bit fluky. Maybe you wouldn't have expected that to normally come at you, and maybe wasn't really expecting a weird kind of shot. Other than that, when it was kind of those first opportunities, Keane was always able to really suck those rebounds up and stop it. It was really when OHA started applying the pressure and generating some rebounds and kind of pulling that puck when it is scrambling in front of the net in the slot area. And that's kind of when he was able to he was able to track the puck quite well when it was kind of those first opportunities as the game progressed.
While the Buffaloes obviously looking to have a better result next time that they're out for this U15 meal prep program, they won't be back in action for a while here on the network, Cody, but lots to work on for them in the meantime to improve on their start to their 2022 portion of their schedule. Of course, as we've mentioned, falling 7-1 to the Okanagan Hockey-Academy Edmonton U15 prep team this past Friday night. And speaking of Friday night, this past Friday night, the Winnipeg Avros were in Morden, Manitoba at the Access Event Center taking on the Pembina Valley Hawks at 8 p.m. this past Friday. It was a very entertaining game. Cody, me, and Seth were on the call, as you do know. Shots were 31-24 in favor of the Avros. Ended up being a 4-2 win for the Winnipeg Avros. Just talking about, the Winnipeg Avros from what you saw in that game this past Friday, from, when you got to watch a bit of the game like you did, as to why they had so much success against this Pembina Valley Hawks team to be getting that 4-2 win.
Yeah, they really this game was a lot closer than the other game we had on the network. A little bit closer, like you said. And Winnipeg Avros really were able to generate a lot of opportunity with moving their feet. They really leaned on some of their bigger players like Nora Collins, number 18, and as well as Hakiluk was another player I know often heard her name mentioned, but both goaltenders really, I think, had a great night. Able to stop a majority of shots, with Tria stopping all but 4, and Yania only stopping all but 2. Really a good overall game from what I had seen.
Yeah, and the 4-2 goal was an empty netter from Nora Collins, number 18, for the Winnipeg Avros. And speaking of, the two number 18s faced off against each other and went at it. Abby Bordadui, number 18, for the Pembina Valley Hawks, scored the opening goal in that game in the first period. And then Nora Collins with a hat trick. One of her goals, of course, being that empty netter. But both of these players coming into that game leading the league in scoring. Of course, Abby Bordadui leading the league in goals coming into that matchup. Nora Collins sitting 3 goals behind her with 14 coming into that matchup. Of course, Collins with 17 after that night. Bordadui with 18 after that game was played. Just the excitement, the entertainment. It was entertaining for me and Seth, to say the least, to watch these two studs go at it. But talk about, what it was like from your perspective, seeing both Abby Bordadui and Nora Collins battling it out this past Friday.
Yeah, really, both players were stars in that game. They had glimpses of why they're the 2 top players in the league. Abby Bordadui always moving her feet, able to generate opportunity off the rush, and Nora Collins, kind of a carbon copy. They both kind of really move their feet, able to, good with their hands, able to, throw defenders off as they're coming into the offensive zone, and able to create time and space. And then when they are able to get time and space, they're able to capitalize when they do get their chances.
You talked about, the Avros moving their feet like they did, and that generated some power play opportunities for them as they drew some penalties as a result of them moving their feet, coming in with speed and threatening attack in the Pembina Valley Hawks defense. Of course, like I mentioned just a moment ago, the Hawks took 5 penalties in this game, but they killed off all 5 of them. Talk about, a big plus for the Hawks in this game, their penalty kill against the Avros this past Friday.
Yeah, definitely. In a game, it can go either way. When your penalty kill is going good, it's always good, that you're able to put up a goose egg against the team. But in the same sense, even when you're not, or when you are able to kill off that penalty, often you find that you're losing a little bit of momentum to the other team. And so that's something I thought I saw a little bit when penalty trouble started to get a little bit worse. It looked like even though the Hawks were solid on their penalty kill, it did look like maybe the Avros got a little bit of life out of their penalty or their power play.
Yeah, and the Avros on their side of things took only 2 penalties in this game. The penalty kill looked very strong from them, despite them giving up a goal on that first power play. Kind of a freak play in the sense that, the puck that it kind of squirted out into a weird area. The Hawks, Caitlin Anderson, able to get that puck in on Yanina Karitonovich from a sharp angle. But the Avros, their penalty kill, like I said, looked spectacular. On the second one, they didn't even let the Hawks get out of their zone, really, Cody. And when the Hawks did get into the Avros zone, the Avros would just dump it down right away. So the Hawks not able to really generate much momentum on that second power play. But just talking talking about how this Avros penalty kill looks so flawless, minus the fact that they gave up one goal off of a weird bounce and on a sharp angle shot to Caitlin Anderson.
Yeah, you got to think in those 4 minutes of penalty kill time that they had, other than, all of 10 seconds, they played flawless penalty kill hockey. Like you said, watching that opportunity from Caitlin Anderson, it was a bit of a fluke play, kind of snuck by. She took a kind of shot, and it looked like it fooled Yania and kind of just trickled by. And other than that, yeah, their penalty kill was able to really suffocate the power play and not let them get too terribly much opportunities other than that one off the rush from Caitlin Anderson.
Yeah, and it was crazy on that second penalty, Cody, that the Avros took. Just how aggressive they were on the forecheck in terms of not letting the Hawks really get out of their zone. But talking about the Hawks, when they were getting their chances, in your opinion, how they were able to generate their offense coming in on this Avros team.
Yeah, to me it looked like their passing was good. They were able to move the puck around quite good. Both teams looked like it was a fairly even matchup from what I had seen on the broadcast. Really, two teams that were evenly matched, and two teams that really didn't want to give an inch. And I think that's why we had such a close game. Other than the empty net goal, it was a 1-goal game, and both teams putting in a full effort. But from the Hawks, I found that a lot of their opportunities came when they were able to get a little time and space and pass the puck around and find that open area to generate some shots.
Yeah, for sure. And the Avros in that game did a really good job as the game went along of keeping chances to the outside. Me and Seth were talking about that quite a bit as this game was going on. Really good in the neutral zone as well at clogging things up. Talk about the Avros, how they executed their game plan really well at times to be able to do those things to even though they gave up shots against Pembina Valley, giving up shots from the outside more rather than giving up shots from the higher danger scoring places, areas on the ice.
Yeah, for sure. And looked like they really had some active sticks out there, really trying to cover as much area of the ice as they could, trying to force the Hawks to the outside, because really once you get into that heart of the slot, that's really the high danger area, and you always want to try and keep teams out of that area. And they really looked like they were able to, for the most part, keep the Hawks out of the high danger slot area for the most part, and able to keep some of the high danger chances to the outside.
Well, the Winnipeg Avros improved to 14 wins on the season after that game. They improved on their record in the whole weekend after they won against Central Plains on Saturday, in Saturday's matchup for them, improving to 15 wins. Of course, the Hawks falling to 8-10 after that game, but then after their weekend was done, they finished the weekend with a 9-10 record, improving to that on the season. And of course, like we mentioned, talking about the Buffaloes early on, falling 7-1 this past Friday to the OHA Edmonton U15 prep team in their arena for the Buffaloes at Blackjack Stewart Arena. Cody Wall joining this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody here on Coffee with Graeme. Always a pleasure, Cody. Until next week on Tuesday morning, man, you take care. We'll see you then.
Thanks for having me, Graeme. It was nice talking to you again, and we'll see you next week.
Cody Wall on this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody, joining this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Coming up after the commercial break, I'm going to be sitting down with the leading point getter and leading goal scorer in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League in Alexis Petford. She's going to join the show to talk about her commitment that she made earlier in the season to Stonehill College to play Skyhawks hockey in their inaugural season for 2022-2023, as well as talking about her experience at the Western Regional Women's Championships U18 tournament back in November in Port La Prairie, Manitoba, where she represented her home province in Saskatchewan. Team Saskatchewan in that tournament, as well as talking about parts of her career in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League with the Regina Rebels, as well as the main focus on this year, as she is leading the league in points at this point with 40 points in 15 games, playing on the number one team in the league in the Regina Rebels as they got a 12-1-1-2 record. That's coming up on Coffee with Graeme, this edition of the show on this January 11th, Tuesday edition of the show here on AETi Productions. Stick around.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance. Quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
This edition of Coffee with Graeme is leading goal scorer and point getter in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. Number 4, senior forward for the Regina Rebels, Alexis Petford. Alexis, thanks for coming on the show today. How are you doing on this on today's interview?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk to you about not only, your great season you've been having so far with the Rebels in the Saskatchewan Female League, but as well as your commitment to Stonehill College to play Skyhawks hockey in their inaugural season coming up in 2022-2023. Talk about, the decision there for you to commit to a college like that. That's just going to be starting up next year.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty excited to go down, so it should be fun.
Yeah, what exactly, made you choose Stonehill College as that next place to continue your hockey development and continue playing?
Well, really, when I went down to Boston in the summer for like a showcase type thing. And when I was down there, Coach Tara saw me there and asked me to come on a school tour. So I went there, and it was kind of just a great atmosphere, and she made me feel like really welcome on campus. And when she was touring me around, it was just great. And then when she gave me the offer to go there, it was kind of like a perfect place to go, and I couldn't really say no to it. So it's kind of a great option. So we're excited to go down.
Talk about Tara Watchorn. She's won a gold medal with Team Canada back in 2014. She spent 4 seasons in her life playing at Boston University as a defenseman. She spent her last 4 seasons there as an assistant coach for that program, overseeing the defense and, a defensive unit that posted the 4th best penalty kill in the country during the past season that she was there. Talk about how excited you are to get started and develop under her as your head coach.
Yeah, well, it's pretty great knowing that someone that's played at such a high level, like Team Canada, pretty much the highest level you can for girls hockey. So it's pretty cool knowing that she'll be my coach for the next 4 years. And it's also good to know that she's also had high level experience coaching, as she was coaching at Boston University. And she talks a lot about how excited she is to be the first coach ever for Stonehill, and how excited she is to start up with the new season. So it should be good, and I'm excited to have her as my coach.
Yeah, and she's a defensive-minded head coach, of course, with her being, overseeing the defensive unit at BU, playing defense in her playing career. Talk about how excited you are to have that opportunity to develop your side of the defensive side of the puck more and more as the years go on at Stonehill College with Tara as your coach.
Yeah, for sure. Like a 200-foot game is a really good thing to have as part of your game, because without it, if you can only play in the offensive zone, you're going to lose a lot of games, because if you're getting scored on, but you can't just score just as much, then goals are only good when you're not letting goals in. So, yeah, it's got to be equaled out a little bit.
And of course, you're going to be making the move out to Easton, Massachusetts to play at Stonehill College. How excited are you to move out there and, have some, individual responsibility for yourself in a way, being on your own, being away from family? Of course, you'll probably be with a roommate, but how excited are you to, move out to the States next season?
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, it's pretty far from home, but it's a pretty big move for me, but I'm pretty excited to go. I don't know anyone other than this one girl that was also at that showcase down in Boston this summer. And then, my family's a big part of my hockey career and come to all my games and support me. So it'll be tough not having them at every game, but they'll be able to watch live. So it'll be good. And yeah, they'll come down to watch sometimes, but I'm excited to go.
Talking about a tournament that you played in earlier in the season in 2021, the Western Regional Women's Championships, the U18 Championships, and in Manitoba, in Portage la Prairie. You played for Team Saskatchewan, of course. You finished top 5 in points in the tournament and was able to win bronze with Team Saskatchewan. Just looking back at that experience, 2 months ago now, just talk about the experience of playing for Team Saskatchewan, representing your province at a tournament like that.
Yeah, it's always a great feeling to represent Sask, because that's a pretty high level, and it's kind of always like a goal for a lot of people. So it's great to go represent a province. And obviously with nationals being canceled, that sucked. And then to be able for Team Sask and for Saskatchewan and all the other provinces to get together and say, okay, we're going to have a Westerns. It was great to be able to at least have something and not completely be canceled. So I was really glad we were able to do something still and still represent Team Sask for one more year.
Yeah, and you were able to finish it off on a positive note with Team Sask. You guys only won 1 game, but that was the game that mattered the most for you guys in the bronze medal game against Team Manitoba. Take me back to that experience, what that was like playing in that bronze medal game, as well as being able to come out with the win, come out with some hardware in that week.
Yeah, for sure. Well, especially because going in, you're like, oh, we've lost all our games. Like, we're not coming out losing all of them. So it was kind of like everyone was getting hyped before the game. We didn't want to come out with no wins. So, and it was a pretty good feeling beating the home province because we were all playing in Manitoba. So it was nice to beat them. And obviously it would have been great to come out with a gold, but it was a great group of girls and it was fun to be there.
Talk about that experience, how it's helped you, moving into the forward part of the season, to the latter half of your season, since you came back to the team after, experiencing what you experienced in the Western Regionals.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we still got the second half to go here, and obviously I'm hoping to continue with a strong second half. I guess the start of the season is a pretty big part, but now it's kind of like, all right, we got to bear down and keep winning, and hopefully I can help my team do that. And points is like a good thing to have as well, but the team points is a big thing as well. So hopefully we don't get canceled because of COVID. There's a lot of games being postponed right now in other leagues, and there's been a couple postponed in our league. So hopefully we get it going and then go down to playoffs, and then hopefully we do well there. And if there's an ESO, hopefully make it to there and do well.
Yeah, and speaking of COVID-19, of course, every hockey player, including yourself, every athlete, very familiar of how COVID-19 has ruined things. And going back specifically to the 2019-2020 season, where it was your second season in the league, the team was 26-1-1, first place in the league, most goals for, least goals given up. And then you guys had the season canceled due to COVID-19, having the playoffs canceled due to COVID-19. Just talk about that feeling back then, having a season canceled like that when you were third on the team in points and the team was very well on their way to potentially winning it all that year.
Yeah, that was a group of girls that I won't ever play with them all again. And it was an unreal group. They're all undescribable, honestly. We had a connection that I've never had with a team before, and we were all really close. And so to have that canceled was a terrible feeling. We were actually all together, we were at the pool because we were having one more get together before playoffs start. And so then we were having pizza or something, and then we went into the hotel room, turned on the TV, and it was kind of saying how the NHL is getting shut down and everything's getting shut down. And we realized, holy, our season is done. And it was, I don't even know how to describe the feeling. We all broke down. We're all crying. It was terrible. And then it was kind of oh, well, we'll hope that it'll be postponed, but never ended up happening. So yeah, those girls were pretty special, and they're all doing great now. Some of them playing the U of R, some of them went down to the States, all doing great. And so I wish all the best for them too.
Yeah, and it sucks because you guys were the clear favorites to win it all that year, and to have it canceled, like you said, heartbreaking for you guys. But the season before, you had a chance to play in the finals with the Regina Rebels, making it to the finals that year. You guys finished second place back in 2018-19, losing to the Saskatoon Stars in all three games in that final, 3 games straight, 2-1, 4-1, 3-2, a hard-fought final. 2 close games. Just go back to that experience, in your rookie season, being able to develop and, be a part of a playoff run where you guys ended up making it to the finals, but weren't quite able to get it done that season.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in as a rookie, especially as an underage, was scary at first, but the girls made me feel really welcome on the team. So then we all got close during the year, and then we realized okay, let's keep going. We made it to playoffs, made it to the finals, and then when we were in the playoffs, obviously didn't go well in the finals. But then it was kind of okay, it's Saskatoon. We haven't done well against them, and it was kind of we made small goals throughout games, and then we met those small goals, and then in the third game too, we were up against them, and then we kind of broke down and they scored 2 goals on us, and so then it was tied, and then they ended up beating us 3-2, which sucked for sure. But then we were okay, season's over, next year we got to come back better. And then that next year, that's what we did, and then it was kind of a rivalry against Saskatoon, and so that was why it was a big goal and a huge thing for us to do so well that next year. And then it really sucked when it was finally our year to do well and go to ESO, hopefully, and especially after getting swept in the finals of the previous year.
Yeah, and this season you guys are, the first place team in the league so far. You guys are 12-1, 1-2 67 goals for, most in the league, 25 goals against, which is second least in the league. Just with all that you've been through with this team, with this organization, I guess we'll call it that, throughout the years of making it to the finals in your first year and having, losing in 3 straight games to Saskatoon, to the next season in terms of you improving as a player, in terms of the points, being third on the team that year, being the best team in the league, and having the season canceled to, last season, having the season canceled after 4 games. How much does the experiences that you've had, motivate you this season in terms of trying to lead your team to that championship this time around?
Yeah, for sure. It was always like my first year coming to now, like my 4th year here is a big year for me. And growing, like when I was in grade 9, I see, okay, it was always a goal for me to be one of the captains on the team. And I got to that goal, which was great. And so it's my goal to lead these girls, but also they're all great girls on their own. Like they know what they're doing. They're figuring it out. It's Christmas time, or it's just past Christmas time, I guess now. So that's kind of what our coaches always tell us. Like, okay, once it gets to Christmas time, that's where we bear down. That's where our rookies are, you can tell they're not rookies anymore, and they're they're like vets, and everyone's playing their real game. No one's nervous anymore because it's now over halfway through the season. So it's kind of like, yeah, I came in grade 9 and felt like a rookie that year. But then after Christmas in grade 9, you don't even feel like a rookie anymore because you finally like found your place on the team and you know your roles. And that's kind of a big thing for our team too, is to know the roles on your team. Like, yeah, some players might be goal scorers, but some players might not be. But those little roles that everyone has is important to the team equally. So yeah, it's great being a leader on the team, but I think everyone leads in their own way.
Yeah, and for you, you are a leader on this team this year, and you lead the league, like I've mentioned before, in both points with 40 and goals with 22 goals. You also got 18 assists. You're second in the league in assists at this point. In 15 games played, you're absolutely crushing it this year, way in the league in terms of points, as well as goals. You got 6 more goals than the second leading goal scorer in the league. Talk about how you found that your game offensively has been able to take such a huge jump this season from previous years.
Yeah, for sure. Like my first year coming in, obviously I didn't get as much ice as the older girls, and that's expected, and that's how it's going to be, especially being younger than the other girls on the teams too. So I kind of knew that, like, because the season before I came to the Rebels, I was playing on Ravens, and my role on that team was to score goals too. And so then it was kind of just like, as time goes on, you realize, like, as you get older, your role, and my role on this team is to score goals and to get assists and pump up the team and keep going. So then my second year in grade 10, that's when I kind of started finding the net. And then when I was playing with Lauren and Nina in my grade 10 year, and that was an unreal line, like one of my favorite lines I'll ever play with. And so that was a great feeling. And then so finding the net, my grade 10 year was great. And then so going into grade 11, I was excited to play. And after both Lauren and Nina left that year, Lauren graduated and Nina went to Ontario. So then I was excited to play, and then kind of got shut down. So our whole team kind of worked on the ice, practicing almost every day, and then always working on our shots, always working on skating, etc. So then this year it was kind of a big thing for, like, my coaches told me at the start of the year, like, this is your year, you gotta put up points, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So it was kind of a big thing for me to score goals, and like I said before, that's my role on the team.
Yeah, and you've had a chance to be coached by Mike Merck for all 4 of your seasons, 3 before this year, and of course, including this one. Talk about, what it's been like building a relationship with Mike, both on and off the ice and in the dressing room, and being able to, play under him throughout these past 4 seasons.
Yeah, so coming in grade 9, it was kind of like, like a brand new coach. Like, everyone else on the team has played with him for a year, because there was very few rookies that my grade 9 year. So it was kind of like, everyone else already knows him. So it's kind of like, like, what if he doesn't like me? And it's always a scary thing, especially as like an underage and as a rookie. And I was like, okay, well, I've got to get to know this guy, because I'm going to be with him for the next 4 years. So I think me and Mike have developed a close relationship, and He knows that he can trust me in situations that he needs to on the ice, especially in like overtimes, power play, penalty kill. He's now trusted me to go out in all those special teams and all those important points in a game. So I think, especially on the ice, he has a lot of trust for me. And then I know he's going to do the right thing by putting out certain players when they need to be out. And exactly what I was saying before, knowing your roles. And we have certain players who play penalty kill who don't play power play. And that's just how a team's going to be and how you need to have certain players to know their roles. And I think Mike's a very good coach at knowing who to put on the ice at certain times.
Yeah, and speaking of power play, you have 6 power play goals this season, which is very impressive, looking at the leaderboard and in the league as well for that stat. But talking about this year's roster, 10 returning players, you including 9 others, 8 new players to the team, 7 being rookies, and you guys added Nikita Schmidt from Weyburn. She's a 4th-year player this season as well. Talk about it, being able to be a leader on this year's team, as well as getting to know a lot of new faces. More so than previous years that you played on this team.
Yeah, well, especially the girls from Regina. Like, you kind of know everyone in the hockey world, especially with girls hockey, because there's not a lot of us. Like, compare us to the guys league, there's like half the teams. And so I knew everyone from Regina already for the rookies, and I already had a relationship with them. So it wasn't like new meeting them, as I've also been in like camps and stuff with them before. And then with Nikita, we played girls hockey like in like Adam growing up together. So I already knew her from before. And then when she went to Weyburn, we were kind of enemies, obviously, because it's a different team. So we weren't friends, but we didn't hate each other off the ice. And so then when we found out she was coming here, that's obviously exciting because it's another 4th-year player in the league. So, it's not going to be a downfall to have a player with experience in the league. And then I didn't know some of the girls actually at all, like Evan Hill, Maya Gerard. I had no idea who they were, but they came out to tryouts. Maya's a very strong skater, and when Mike told me he was going to be taking her, it was obviously exciting because anyone new on the team, you just want to get to know them and make a close relationship with them. And I think that's been awesome. I've got to know Maya pretty well and Evan as well. So they're both great girls on and off the ice.
You guys are on a 7-game win streak right now, ending off 2021 strongly on a 7-game win streak. You guys haven't played in 2022 as of yet. You guys haven't lost against any of the teams in the league except for the Swift Current Wildcats, who have 3 wins against you guys. You guys won in the most recent matchup. The score in terms of all the matchups, you guys have scored 11 against them. You guys have given up 11 against them. Talk about, why Swift Current has been that one team that's given you guys the most trouble so far this year.
Yeah, at first we couldn't really figure it out. And so we lost to them, and then we lost to them again, and then we lost to them again. And then our most recent game against them, we won. So that was a great feeling to be able to get that like losing streak off our back against Swift Current and figure out how to beat them. And I think it's just like who works harder, because we're both like equally strong teams. We both have strong players. We all of us work hard. So it's kind of who comes that night and who doesn't. So I think finally we realized like you got to come every night to the games. You got to be ready to play. And I think finally we realized that, and that's why we were able to beat them.
This season so far, you guys are, of course, first place, 12-1-1-2 record. First place in the league, 67 goals for, which is most in the league, 25 goals against, which is second least in the league, as mentioned previously in this interview. Obviously a highly offensive powered team, a very good defensive team. Talk about what's going to be the biggest focus heading into the rest of the season in terms of how you guys are looking to improve even more, even though it's going to be pretty tough based off of what you guys have done so far, playing at a very high level so far.
Yeah, for sure. As I was saying before, we always have like our small goals and our big goals. So some of our small goals were like, obviously there's like season series between each team. And so we have season series and we've already lost ours to Swift. And our goal would obviously be to win those season series. And so hopefully we'll win those season series coming up. And then another goal for the team would be to get down to that least goals scored against us. So always say it's a race to 3. And if the other team gets to 3 before us, obviously we're not just going to quit. We're going to keep going. But there's like a stat or something that says first team to 3 usually wins the game. So we'll try and keep those goals down and get as many goals as we can, obviously.
Yeah, and you guys are going to be starting off against a ideal matchup in this 2022 part of your season coming up this weekend, hoping it doesn't get canceled due to COVID-19, but I'm assuming it's on at this point. You guys play Saturday and Sunday against Weyburn, both games being on the road. You guys have played them once only this season and won 10-0 against them. Talk about what the mindset heading into this game is going to be, looking to build off of the things that you've been talking about, starting off 2022 on the right note this weekend on these 2 games.
Yeah, well, going against Weyburn is always different because you never know what you're going to get. And especially because Nikita played on that team before, we are always like, all right, let's win this one for her. Like, she's played on this team before. Like, it's terrible losing against a team that you played on before and left that team. So we always say, all right, let's go win this one for her. And then same with like going out against any other team. You can't take anyone lightly no matter what the game before was. Yeah, we beat them 10-0 before, but who what the next game could be. It could be a 1-goal game. It could be a 5-goal game. You never know until the game's over, until the final score.
Well, you guys play them twice this weekend, so going to be fun to see what happens in those 2 games. Best of luck to you and the team heading forward in this season, and hoping that you can keep up the tremendous season that you've been having so far on the stat sheet out there, of course, leading the league in both points and goals at this point. Number 4, senior forward, a captain for the Regina Rebels in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, Alexis Petford, joining the show here on this Tuesday morning. Alexis, thanks for coming on, and you take care and stay safe as well.
Thank you. You too.
Alexis Petford, number 4 of the Regina Rebels, the number 1 team in the league in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, joining the show on this Tuesday morning, and just taking a look at the season that Alexis is having so far, taking a look at her career totals. Once again, she has set a career high in both points and goals, the best she's done in her career before this year was back in 2019-2020, as mentioned in the interview, where she played 30 games, put up 17 goals, 19 assists for 36 points. This season, in cutting the games in half in only 15 games, she's surpassed her goal total by 5 goals with 22 goals at this point. She's got 18 assists, 1 assist off from tying her career high in a single season in the regular season, and she's already got 4 more points than she put up in the 2019-2020 season she had, where she put up 36 in 2019-2020. She's put up 40 this season. And just looking at it in terms of throughout the league, she is, of course, the number 1 point getter in the league, the second best point getter, the second most points in the league has been put up by Jersey Watain. She has 25. Alexis has 40 points, and Jersey has played 21 games. Comparing that to Alexis's 15 games, it's just a very impressive mark that Alexis has reached at this point. And she, along with the rest of her team, is looking to keep up the great season they're having, of course, this weekend against the Weyburn Gold Wings on the road, assuming that the weekend of games for Regina and Weyburn don't get canceled due to COVID-19. But hats off to Alexis, my apologies, Alexis Petford. Sorry for calling you Alexis. I know you're probably watching this, but hats off to her for, having the type of season she's having right now, as well as, leading the number 1 team in the league at this point in points and, being a big part of why they are the number 1 team. But yeah, Alexis Petford, number 4 of the Regina Rebels, joining the show on this Tuesday morning. We're going to take one last set of commercial breaks here on Coffee with Graeme. We might take another one to end off the show, but coming up after the commercial break, some final words and a sign off on today's edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around after this commercial break for more. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Alexis Petford, number 4 of the Regina Rebels, joined the show here most recently on this Tuesday morning and got a comment from a viewer in Ben Close, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, his last name, but he said, wow, pretty sure he was reacting to the stats of Alexis Petford. And yeah, I gotta be right there with you, Ben. Wow is one of the words you can use to describe the type of season Alexis has been having. Of course, as mentioned, 40 points in 15 games played. That's almost 3 points per game right there. That is 2.7 points per game for Alexis at this point in the season. But thanks to Alexis for coming on today's show and being a guest on today's edition of Coffee with Graeme, as well as Cody Wall for coming on this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody and breaking down the past weekend of games that we had here on the network, both being played on Friday between the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U15 Male Prep Buffaloes and the Okanagan Hockey-Academy Edmonton U15 Prep team, as well as Cody broke down the Pembina Valley Hawks and Winnipeg Avros game that was played on Friday night. I want to thank once again Cody and Alexis for coming on the show and being guests in this edition of Coffee with Graeme. I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to today's episode as well. And I want to thank the lovely sponsors of today's episode, as always, who sponsor Coffee with Graeme in Caisse Financial Group, TOVI Hockey, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, Evolve Green, and AETi. And you guys haven't seen AETi's commercial yet in today's episode. That's what we'll be ending off with today. But thanks to our wonderful sponsors, our viewers, and Alexis and Cody for coming on today's show and making it all happen. I want to let you guys know that Coffee with Graeme will be coming to you guys live on Thursday night at 8 p.m. You guys can catch that episode at 8 p.m. Central Time on Thursday evening on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, as well as on our website at ASTV Productions. Be sure to check out our social media pages on our Facebook, on our Twitter, as well as on our Instagram at ASTV Productions on Thursday morning, as that is when the guest list will be released for Thursday evening's edition of Coffee with Graeme. But until then, folks, I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, Graeme Forsyth, signing off now, giving you guys the salute. Gonna probably give you guys another salute in just a moment here. But until Thursday evening, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Stay safe out there. Stay warm out there as well. And until I see y'all on in 2 days, in 2 days' time on Thursday evening. We'll see you then, folks. Saluting for one final time here on this Tuesday morning. Peacing out and enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Cheers, everybody.